Welcome in. Seven Rivers Racing here in KQEG TV. I'm Dan Deicher, coming off a huge weekend of racing last weekend, both at Mississippi Thunder Speedway in Fountain City and at the Crosse Speedway. We're going to start things off on the Friday night. We're going to show you some tape of the USMTS Casey's Hunt for the Cup. Now, what this is, it's 17 races with some of the top USMTS drivers in the entire country, and they run 17 races similar to what the Nextel Sprint Cup does. They run their 13 chase races right at the end of the season. Well, this is pretty much what the USMTS is doing right now. And they made a stop at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway last Friday night. They had a fantastic car count. 28 started the feature. The payouts were outstanding. Even if you just started the feature, you walked home with a little bit of a paycheck. And Jason Hughes came out of Dallas, Texas. We had about 5 drivers coming out of Texas that came up and raced at Mississippi Thunder. They had a 40-lap main event, and it was incredible to watch. It was kind of similar to what we saw at Crosse Speedway last weekend. The top 4 drivers were nose to tail for 40 consecutive laps. Now, they were going through lap traffic. They were going 3 and 4 wide, and they were doing this throughout the entire race. And it was pretty interesting to watch Craig Thatcher, Rodney Sanders, and Stormy Scott, also the top 5 in the points, run like that through at a 40-lap session. $5,100 paycheck ended up going to Jason Hughes. He led that after lap 5, went on to carry it for the next 35 laps. So congratulations. If you do want to follow along, we do have some local drivers, Josh Angst and Lucas Schott. They're also in the contention. Just go to usmts.com, and they're updating the daily points after their different races, and you can also watch some video snippets as well. So again, Jason Hughes walks away with the first round 7 of the USMTS Hunt for the Casey's Cup. John Van Minsel came back out, had a USRAB modified win. Very nice job on the number 1. Joe Provenzino won the 600 feature, did it from the pole all the way around 18 laps. First heat race winner Bob Cizeski finished just outside the top 5, behind 2012 track champion Greg Wolitz, current point leader Don Werner, and a Kurt Lumen at the end of that 18-lap feature. So Joe Provenzino also came out in an Outlaw Mini Modified, had some problems there. Kind of hard to drive around a small racetrack when you're missing the steering wheel. The steering wheel came back on. He was having to hold on to the shaft and the wheel at the same time, and he had some problems there. Wausoda Street Stocks, Doug Wojcik, what a job he did. He won his 7th straight feature, 9th of the 2013 season. He's pretty much just going to walk away from the field now. Sean Mann and Corey Hansen finished 2nd and 3rd. So talking about the Outlaw Mini Mods, this was their Summer National Championship at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway, last leg that they were going to run at Fountain City. And Ben Sprung won a caution-filled feature race. I wanted to say there were 9 straight cautions in a row. I got to hand out the big $500 check and the trophy in the middle of the infield for the first time, and one after another were the cautions that were coming out. But I actually had a pretty good race. For the A and B Mini Modifieds, A.J. Hoff collected his 3rd A Mini Modified feature win of the season, and Matt LeDuc got the Sunshine Sanitation B Mini Modified feature. So coming up this weekend, Friday night, August 23rd, we're going to pack the vehicle in like 20 bucks, as many people as you can get inside of a van, truck, car, not the commercial types or buses or things like that, of course, but as many as you can get in, $20 for the entire carload. And that could figure out to be about $2 per person if you put the math together on a regular ticket. So we're going to see you Friday night, Mississippi Thunder Speedway, and you can find the current point standing at MississippiThunder.com. To the Crosse Speedway we go, and what a night of racing we had there. A lot of nose-to-tail racing as well. Todd Korish has found his way back to his winning ways at the Crosse Speedway. Matter of fact, this was the first feature he had picked up since, I want to say it was May of last year, as you're going to watch the final laps right here. And this one came down to a 4-car chase of Todd Korish, Mike Carlson, Steve Carlson, and Mike Kennecke. And they kept this thing close. And it was just one of those races where as the laps ticked down, you kind of wondered who was going to make a pass. And, well, Mike Carlson. We're going to tell you what his dad said here in a minute as we brought the white flag out. Everybody was just kind of dodging through some of the lap traffic, but those 4 put on one heck of a show because you never knew who was going to jump out and to try to make a pass. So Todd Korish wins the NASCAR Late Model Feature event. Mike and Steve Carlson finished 2nd and 3rd, and Mike Kennecke crossed the line respectively 4th. Cole Howland rounded out the top 5. Now, you know, Steve has had this race before with his son Mike. They'll go nose to tail, about 4 or 5 laps to go. Steve will jump to the outside, get a pass, maybe not over Mike, but whoever it is he's racing against. And he said Mike's car was set up a little bit quicker than his was Saturday night, and he said, my son did everything he was supposed to do, which was really cool to hear during the post-race, during the interviews. So again, Todd Korsh gets himself a win, and we're going to run down the points here to start the next segment. For the sportsman, Jake Arneson told me last week he found something in the car that he thought was going to make him get back to how he had started the season, and he sure did. Not only got the quick time on Saturday night, but Jake picked up the feature win, holding off Jamie Dummer and Greg Scheck after a green-white checkered restart on the last lap of the sportsman feature. Arneson with the win. You're going to see here in a minute Jimmy Crackhorn Gilster going round and round, and that's going to caution it, brought out the green-white checkered, and it made for an interesting restart as the man chasing Jason Arneson started on the outside of the first row. And Jake, a little bit too much bite coming out of the corners, and he holds up Greg Scheck and builds a 33-point lead over Scheck in the point standings with that feature win. But Jamie Dummer's had some success over the past 4 or 5 weeks. His racing program coming along as well, and we expect to see some more wins coming out of the 86 of Dummer. But Jake Arneson, the one-armed bandit, takes home the feature win Saturday night. And again, we're going to run over the point standings here in a couple of moments. The Thunder Stocks we go, and again, now it's down to 4. It was 5, but logistically, I'm thinking they're going to be 4 cars. They're going to have a chance to go against each other come Oktoberfest Championship night. Jason Bolster got his way to the front row this time. He held off the point leader and hard charger Adam Moore. They battled back and forth for quite a many laps as there were cars spinning out behind them here in the corners. Jesse Vian finished 3rd. Jordan Myers in the points finished 4th. Brad Worthen rounded out the top 5. Now to enter next week's racing, Moore narrowly leads Myers by 14 points. This was just a solid race here. Adam Moore said that Bolster had a lot more bite coming out of the corners. Got a little bit racy with him down the front and back straightaways. But that's all they could put together for racing Jason Bolster. So it was a nice field of Thunder Stocks. And again, Andy Moore spun out in this race and may have taken himself out of any contention with about 2 nights of racing left and then Oktoberfest coming up. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the 2 Hornet features we had. We had a solid field all the way through. A lot of the point leaders were starting in the back of the second feature and did a nice job racing their way around. And then we're going to talk about what's coming up this weekend at La Crosse and bring in our guest who should be back at the Crosse Speedway this weekend. Next on 7 Rivers Racing here on KQEG TV.
When you're all out of good ideas and you've moved on to the dumb ones, it's time. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, a higher standard of comfort.
May I take your order?
Be not defeated by indecision. Choose the path that leads to a better day. Choose the way of the meal.
Make it a meal with one of Cousin Sub's new pork subs, the Memphis steak, or the Cubano for a limited time only.
The key to happiness is sharing.
Oh. Cousin Subs. Better bread, better subs, better day.
Did you know that the Holman American Legion is open to the public? That's right, 7 days a week you can enjoy the full-service bar while watching your favorite sports team or NASCAR driver. You don't need to be a member to enjoy the Holman American Legion's rotating lunch special every Tuesday for only $6. A banquet hall with seating up to 250 people is also available for weddings, birthdays, or any other special event. See you at the Holman American Legion, 419 First Avenue West in Holman.
Get ready for the Thunder! The Mississippi Thunder Speedway.
Your Friday night racing destination.
Racing starts at 7. Super stocks.
Modified.
600 mods.
Pure stocks.
Street stocks.
Viva.
It's racing excitement, dirt track style.
Tickets $12 for adults.
$5 18 and under.
$8 for students. Or our family pack.
$25 for 2 adults and 3 kids 18 and under.
Friday night racing starts at 7.
Bring on the Thunder!
Dirt track style at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Highway 35 just north of Fountain City.
We're back, 7 Rivers Racing here in KQEG TV. I'm Dan Deicher. We're going to bring our guest of the weekend in just a couple of moments. Back to recapping the events at the Crosse Speedway last weekend, and we had a nice batch of Hornets that came in. 2 features. They were full all the way through, and we're going to go to feature number 1, where that's not Nate Towner. This is interesting. If you watch the top 2 cars here, your leader, folks, if you didn't go to the races, is a 29L. That's Tony Lease, sportsman and late model driver. Right behind him for the first time this year was the 13 of the former Hornet champion, and I want to say it was from 2 years ago, Jack Lichheim. Jack finally got his car put together, and he came down and ran a heck of a race with Tony Lease. You put some more laps on the board right here, and we may have gone side by side for this win, but Tony Lease driving a Nate Towner powered 29L, and he finishes across the stripe in front of Jack Lichheim. Talked to Jack afterwards. He said it felt good to get back behind the wheel of a race car. So Jack has came out, won a Hornet feature, the Hornet Championship a couple years ago, Thunderstock Rookie of the Year, Sportsman Rookie of the Year, was in an ASA truck this year, and it's good to see him back at the Crosse Speedway. On to the second feature we go, and I had to do a double take in the pits this year last weekend as I looked out and see the number 44, and I thought, gee, I wonder whose car that is, because I knew the number but didn't know the car. Well, Jake Chalmers usually has a red 44. He's got a brand new car, as you can see right there. He's got the white 44. And what a race he had with some of the point leaders here as they all started in the back. Kim Strom found his way up front. Sammy Linehan had a heat race win, found her way up front. Jeff Stumlin, also sitting in the point standings, found his way up front. And this was a nice shootout right here with the top 4 and 5 cars. And, of course, Kimmer almost had a shot to get the pass right there, but Strom a little bit too wide coming out of 4, and what a race that was at the Crosse Speedway. So we're going to go over the point standings as we have them from the Crosse Speedway. A couple of championships are still out there. I think it's pretty much safe to say, unless something miraculous happens over the next 2 weeks, that Steve Carlson is going to be crowned the late model NASCAR champion at Oktoberfest this year. Jay Herbst, Mike Carlson, Brad Powell, Todd Korish is your top 5. For the sportsman, this one's still getting interesting. Jake Arneson only has a 33-point lead over Greg Scheck. He and Steve Bachman flip-flopped this past weekend as Bachman drops to 3rd in the points, and he's only 35 back. And we heard Steve Bachman tell us at the racetrack a couple of weeks ago, you could drop 50 points to the track real easy on any given night. So you're going to have to watch that one. Thunder Stocks down to probably 3, maybe even 4 is Brad Worth, and now on the outside looking in, sitting in 4th. Jason Bolster is 18 behind Adam Moore. Jordan Myers is only 14 behind Adam Moore. And the Hornets, well, this one's got about 8 drivers that are going to take this all the way to Oktoberfest. Their season's done. Their next race is the first night of Oktoberfest, October 3rd. Kevin Turner's your point leader. Jake Bemis is 2 back. Kim Strom is 6 back. Jeff Thompson sits 11 points back. Jeff Stumlin 15. Tied with Snam and Sammy Linehan. They're tied for 6th. Then it's Chris Berg and Patrick Tickey. Outlaws will be back up this weekend at La Crosse Speedway, and that's going to be your point leader is Jared Logging. Right behind him, 10 points back is Tom Lethe and Cole Shozy, sitting 11 points back. And to talk more about what's coming up at the track this weekend, La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway, my guest of the program, good friend of the TV and radio shows, is the number 33 Ultra Federal Credit Union. I was going to say Victory Lane because I'm used to saying that because the title sponsor of our Victory Lane is also Matt Henderson's title sponsor this year. I want to welcome Matt back into the program. How are you, buddy?
Good. I'm glad to be here.
Good to see you back on again. Kind of an interesting year you've had as you came out. As a matter of fact, we're going to go all the way back to the first practice day because I had left when you had shown up. And we thought the season for Matt Henderson was going to be phenomenal. I think you were thinking the same thing because you said, on practice day back in April, your second lap on bad tires, you guys were quick, and that was really setting the sights for what was about to happen this year.
Yeah, we did a lot of work this winter, and it obviously paid off. We only went out twice on our opening night, or opening practice, I should say. And the first time out, we usually take it easy, shake the car down, and then really get after it the second time. And we went out there on old tires and
thought, holy cow.
Yeah, we just rolled it back in the trailer.
Well, so then things kind of shifted a tad bit for the Matt Henderson in the Hunt racing team this year. All of a sudden, I got a call from Matt. Matter of fact, I was heading to Winona for the Mississippi Thunder Dirt Track Car Show, and I got a call from Matt as I was heading to Winona that day, and he kind of sprung some news on me that it was kind of different. You've had some huge things, positive, going on in your life.
Yeah, I actually got hired at Quick Trip, and schedule just wasn't going to work out where I could race a full season. So, which, you know, it's sad and I miss it, but you got to do what you got to do. And
the almighty dollar comes into play.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. And we had our son 7 months ago now, so I got him to worry about now too. And so just a lot of big changes, and I wish I could be out there more, but we're out as much as we can, and I'm just going to have to be happy with that.
And of course, saw your son at the racetrack last weekend, and tell you what, he's getting big, and he's getting big quick.
Yeah, he's getting big. It's kind of fun to bring him down to the race shop because he's just really alert and looking around and roll on the creeper underneath the car, and he's just looking around and trying to touch things, and it's just cool.
Now, what about your wife? Is she happy to see you back at the racetrack? Because I know, as we talked last year, you and your father are the ones. I mean, you guys can't wait to get back out there, and all of a sudden you have a shift in life like that where you can't go back out as much as you'd like to. But I'm sure Brittany's glad to get you out of the house.
Yeah, well, we actually don't see each other very often because she works during the daytime. I usually work at night, so when she's at work, I'm sleeping, and when I'm home, she's at work. So, but yeah, the whole family happy to get back out to the racetrack. A lot of fans have really, I think there's a lot of people happy to see us up there, and that's nice to know that we got a good following of fans.
Well, when we come back on the other side of this break, it almost didn't happen again for Matt Henderson. Is just when he made his way back out to the track for the, I think, second time this year. Well, it was an interesting night, and we finally had him back last week, and we'll tell you about that and a whole bunch more coming up next on 7 Rivers Racing.
Did you know that the Holman American Legion is open to the public? That's right. 7 days a week, you can enjoy the full-service bar while watching your favorite sports team or NASCAR driver. You don't need to be a member to enjoy the Holman American Legion's rotating lunch special every Tuesday for only $6. A banquet hall with seating up to 250 people is also available for weddings, birthdays, or any other special event. See you at the Holman American Legion, 419 First Avenue West in Holman.
Get ready for the Thunder! The Mississippi Thunder Speedway!
Your Friday night racing destination.
Racing starts at 7. Super stocks.
Modified.
600 mods.
Pure stocks.
Street stocks.
Viva.
It's racing excitement, dirt track style.
Tickets $12 for adults.
$5 18 and under.
$8 for students. Or our family pack.
$25 for 2 adults and 3 kids 18 and under.
Friday night racing starts at 7.
Bring on the Thunder!
Dirt track style at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Highway 35 just north of Fountain City.
May I take your order?
Be not defeated by indecision. Choose the path that leads to a better day. Choose the way of the meal.
Make it a meal with one of Cousin Sub's new pork subs, the Memphis steak, or the Cubano for a limited time only.
The key to happiness is sharing.
No.
Cousin Subs. Better bread, better subs, better day.
We're back, 7 Rivers Racing, KQEG TV. I'm Dan Deicher, my guest, a longtime friend here in this portion of Wisconsin. Matt Henderson drives a 33 late model at the Crosse Speedway. And we were just talking that Matt was all set to run this year, and then they had the job shift in life and some other things. Was chopping at the bit to get back at the racetrack. You finally got back at the racetrack, and we hated to show it last week on the monitor right down below us there. Just when you were back into the groove and always in the hunt, came an 8-car pileup.
Yeah, man, that sucked. We the first couple, I think we've been out 4 times now, and the first 2 nights we had to start in the back because we had 6 new tires to start out our season. And so that 3rd night when we got in the wreck, it was our first night. We got to start where we qualified, and the car wasn't perfect, but I think we would have had a top 3 for sure. And just hard racing, I guess, and we just happened to get caught up in it.
And one of the problems, part of that wreck was you guys were right up against the wall, so you had no chance. We saw Jay Herbst and Brent Kirshner, Adam Degenhart were kind of away from the wall where that took place, and were not where you were. But one of the hardest things is you were right up on that wall.
Yeah, I was right beside one of the cars, and those 2 just wrecked, and I was their bumper between them and the wall. So I don't know if I took the hardest hit or not, but we wrecked a lot of stuff.
Well, then you came back out last weekend, and it had dawned on me during the races, or actually during qualifications, that's right, Matt Henderson's got a backup car like some of the other drivers do, so I figured Matt just brought the backup car, because we had talked after the races, and you said there was a lot of stuff broke on that, and I figured with your job that you weren't going to have much time to be in the shop this week, but that was not your backup car that people saw last Saturday. Your whole crew was in the garage this week.
Yeah, we worked a lot of hours. We didn't. If you would have asked us when we got wrecked if we'd be back the next week with that car, I didn't think we would.
Right.
We had the rear end out, everything pretty much from the doors forward was torn off, and we had to order parts. We had parts coming in Thursday still. So to get it all back together, and I think we qualified 4th.
Yeah.
So we're still working on it. You know, we didn't really have much time to fine-tune it. We got it back together. We got it scaled and everything, and went to the track, and it was a pretty good car. But this week we're going to fine-tune her a little bit more, and hopefully we'll get up there.
Well, before we forget, how about, I know you want to thank some of those folks that spent the entire week helping you at least get that car back together.
Yeah, my crew, Steve, my uncle Steve, DJ, he's my other crew guy, and the number one guy I'd have to thank would be my dad.
Which I didn't even get a chance to say hi to him in the pits. You guys were so hard at work on that car. I just kind of walked right around your pit stall this weekend.
Yeah.
You guys keep working.
Yeah, that was a mess. But yeah, it's hard. It was hard to get time in the shop because we work during the night. So we get home 4 or 5 in the morning, then we got to be back to work by 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So,
right.
You know, you got to get your sleep because you're out driving, and it was hard, but we got her done.
Get Matt Henderson joining me on the program on KQEG TV. We're also going to get him on the AM 580 WKTY Race Report this coming weekend. You know, I wanted to leave this part here to talk to you about, because there's a big race going on at Madison International Speedway this weekend. You got the ARCA guys rolling through there. Travis Sauter was a surprise driver that's going to be in there, and Ross Kenseth is going to get a crack at running there as well in an ARCA Series car. Matter of fact, it'll be his first time running for Kenny Schrader Racing. We talked about Oktoberfest, and of course Ross is one that comes back to Fest every year. Have you had a chance to run against him?
Nope, I never have. He's usually got the super lates, or a touring series, which we don't have, but that's something we are very interested in, and hopefully we'll be getting one here shortly.
And of course, they don't pit during Fest. I mean, during Fest, everyone's pit stalls are almost totally rearranged. You don't get the same pad that you do during the regular season, but he normally pits down from you. Have you ever had a chance to talk to him down to the Crosse Speedway? Because I think age-wise, you guys are relatively close.
I don't know how old he is. I've never had a chance to talk to him. If I see him, he's focused on what he's doing, and I'm focused on what I'm doing. And usually, by the time the races are over, we got to beeline it home and get the other car loaded up to be back to the track. And so it's just crazy, Oktoberfest. But I've never had a chance to talk to him.
Another series that's coming through this weekend that's going to be loading up the pits will be the Mid-American Series. And I always think it's interesting because of the different tires we've had on the track this year. Of course, the Goodyears have gone to the Sportsman. You guys still run the Hoosiers, of course. When you bring in another series like this, the Mid-American Series, does it alter the track at all? Does it work against or for you guys?
It really depends on the tire. At Oktoberfest, you got how many different divisions with how many different compounds. Right. So you go out on the track at 8 in the morning, and you go back out at, say, noon. The track, everything you learned in your first practice, you might as well throw it out the window. So it really just depends on what kind of tire it is, and how many laps are getting laid down on the track to really tell what's going to be the difference. And
and that you bring up a really good point there. When Matt says going on the track at 8 o'clock, of course, a lot of the practice sessions start during Oktoberfest in the early portions of the morning. And then you have, not only do you have, and this is interesting because we'll even go back to your first practice this year back in April, of course. It was still relatively cold back in April. But if you look at Oktoberfest, you've been there for many years, you practice at 8, you go back out at noon, and then you race at 5. Whatever you did to start the morning, and even if you're taking notes, or some guys write the pressures on the side of their cars, it was pretty much all out the window, because not only are you competing with the track conditions with the tires laid down, but the weather as well.
Yeah, at 8 in the morning, it might be, at Oktoberfest, it's usually pretty cold, but right. It warms up pretty decent during the day. So even just depending on cloud cover, like a couple weeks ago when we ran, I was, the clouds were out and the car was just nice. And then the sun came out before we went to go qualify, and just that little bit of sun loosened the car up a little too much. And
really?
Yeah, so just even the little bit of sun on the track will change the characteristics of the track. It's just a guessing game, really. And another thing at Oktoberfest with the tires and the track changing, we practice, we qualify, then we always have our big 40-lap race at the end of, usually we're like the last race.
Right.
But before our race, there's usually a 100-lap race or, you know, a big race with different tires, different compounds, all that. So even to try and guess what your car is going to be like for our feature race, it's a guessing game, and I think usually whoever makes the right call, they win the race.
Well, of course, you got to have a good crew for that. And Matt's got a crew that he's talked about for many, many years, or as long as I've known him, that have helped him out there at the Speedway. So again, Mid-Ams are going to be a part of Buck Night this weekend. Late Model Sportsman, Thunder Stocks, the Outlaws will be back. The Mid-American Racing Series was just added a couple of weeks ago. And, of course, it's Buck Night, so we expect an outstanding crowd up there. And you're going to have some sponsors up there as well. I know Dee Euler was glad to see you back. She was walking around with the red Henderson Racing shirt on. And I'm sure you're going to have a lot of other sponsors you want to thank for bringing you back out this weekend.
Yeah, I want to thank all my sponsors for sticking with me this year. I know it's been difficult.
Right.
And the hardest part was telling all of them the situation, and because a lot of them have been with me from the beginning. So they're more than just sponsors to me, so it was really tough. But I want to thank DriveUltra.org, Ultra Federal Credit Union, Block and Brick Supply, Retaining Wall Specialists, Classic Rock 100.1, Hungry Peddler, Custom Excavating, Charter Communications, Billy's Lantern, Volden Construction, Bond Drywall Supply, Collision Specialists, Hess Excavating, Fastlane Auto, AMSOIL, and InTheHunt.com.
Well, again, and I know Charter Communications probably liked that you were back out last weekend because they had the Lawn Keepers Party Deck, and there was a whole bunch of them out there watching Matt race last weekend. So we're going to see you back here this weekend.
Yeah, we'll be back this weekend, and hopefully it's looking like we'll be there for Fest or on the Lacrosse Late Model and Big 8. All
right, going to be looking forward to seeing that. Believe it or not, folks, the Oktoberfest fan newsletter just went out this week. I was shocked when it hit my email box. I thought, holy cow, we are almost there. 2 regular nights of racing at Lacrosse, and then a couple of weeks off, and then Oktoberfest racing. Start thinking about making your camping reservations right now. Also, on behalf of Matt Henderson, check out alwaysinthehunt.com. Got to mention that one, MississippiThunder.com and LacrosseSpeedway.com if you want more information on a lot of the big races coming up here, especially Mississippi Thunder that first weekend in September. They got the $10,000 to win Bayman B Law Challenge. So that'll do it for the program. Again, we'll have Matt on the radio show this week. You'll hear more from Ross Kenseth as he ventures into a Kenny Schrader ARCA car on Sunday. And we'll have a whole lot more of racing recaps. I'm Dan Deicher along with Matt Henderson. I want to thank you for joining us on another edition of KQEG TV 7 Rivers Racing.